Hey, it's James Father's Rights and Resources, hashtag how I got custody. I've got to respond to this comment on my YouTube channel. This is the epitome of the insanity of what's wrong with my gender, the father's rights movement, and father's rights. Now, I have a video on YouTube. It's my most popular video. It's called The Number One Argument for 50-50, and I just talk about equality and things like that. But if I'm a dad, I'm always going to court and going for full custody for multiple obvious reasons that I've gotten into before. If you don't know them, then you need to watch my videos or get a one-on-one. But there's this guy named Drew STA4. He gets on here and then he says, and I pinned his comment because, well, here's the deal. This guy's whining and crying, say, I can't do what you're saying because I'll lose in court or I'll piss the judge off. And I'm afraid to do it. And, you know, the reason why the system is the way it is because nobody's ever challenged the system. So this guy's stupid answer is to not do what it takes to challenge the system. Martin Luther King challenged institutional racism. Gandhi challenged different protests that he was involved in. Women's suffrage movement, feminists challenged the status quo of women being barefoot and pregnant and not being able to vote and things like that. Everybody that got some rights challenged the status quo and got uncomfortable and did stuff that people hadn't done before. And this stupid jackass is saying, well, I can't do that because it's never been done before. And if I do it, then I'll get found in contempt and the judge will get mad at me and it'll hurt my feelings. And when my feelings get hurt, I get my panties in a bunch and I'm going to whine and cry and moan and whine and cry and moan. This is the insanity. So let's get into what he's saying. He said, I would be held in contempt if I would suggest that the Family Court of Australia, so he's in Australia, were potentially, which is a super soft, delicate, feminized country. If I accuse Australian courts of potentially committing child abuse themselves. Your logic is correct, but to state that in court would backfire, like proving a police officer wrong in public, it doesn't matter if it's the government-backed power holders will continue their abuse. So this dummy is so illogical. This is the insanity of my gender, and it's freaking so ridiculous that, like, you know, like think about slaves who found the Underground Railroad and they're like, well, if I take the Underground Railroad and escape, there's some people who've been caught and have been killed and you're going to die on the plantation and slave away and you got freedom over here and, you know, you're citing all your fears as to why not to run. This guy is making up his own fantasy in his own head because he's paranoid. Because the system has screwed guys over, he doesn't want to do something different or say something different that might wake them up and make them change their mind because they're screwing guys over. So I won't say something to wake them up because I'm worried the one screwing the guys over might do something to me because all they've ever... See, you didn't try something different. And so you're going to just stick with the results that you've always gotten and you're not going to try something different. And the reason you're not going to try something different is because you always get these same results. That's like saying the example of, you know, I want to lose weight, I'm fat. You know, if I go out and start walking, I might trip and fall and break a leg, or I might get a sprained ankle, or I might get some shin splints. Well, the pain of that isn't even close to the pain of diabetes and heart disease and cancer and all the other stuff you're inflicting on yourself. And you're like, well, I've been fat all my life. And because I'm fat, you know, if I get out of my comfort zone, I might still be fat. So I'm not going to try it. I mean, this is insane. The system is corrupt. Guys go in there and act like a bunch of punk little sissy little bitch-made pussies. And then they don't fight. They don't call the mother a child abuser. They don't tell the court, you have a... And this is one of the nicer videos that I've done. On my YouTube channel, the number one argument for 50-50. I'm talking about kids need both parents. Children suffer without both parents. All the science and data says so. If you deprive the child of one parent, you're harming the child according to the science. Why didn't you believe the science? The court has a duty of care. If you and I didn't even say anything hardcore. I don't know what the hell he's it's almost like he's reaching. Like, I want to believe that I can't do this because James is right, but what James is saying requires me to take action and not to be a pussy ass bitch anymore in my life. So but I don't want to be I enjoy the comfort of being a pussy little whiny bitch and crying all the time because I could just stay here. But I hate all the torture that's being inflicted upon me as a father because I can't see my kids. I'm on supervised visitation or whatever. And then he's sitting there saying the presumption is guys are always guilty of this and guys are guilty. I'm looking at the comments right here. Guys are guilty of this and guys are presumed guilty of that. Yeah. So go in there and fight and try and prove them wrong. But he's sitting there saying, well, I can't try and fight and prove that they're wrong because then I'll look bad or they might hold me in contempt. Like, he just made this crap up. Contempt for what? Contempt for citing the data and this and all that other stuff? Contempt for blasphemy against the court, saying if you release the child without a father, that's depriving the child of a basic life need. And when we deprive the child, see, he's so stupid he can't articulate what I'm saying, and so he assumes that it comes across like what I'm saying is so harsh and extraordinary and so outrageous that I'm actually accusing the courts of abuse. Well, you don't even have to say it. You're a bunch of child abuse and child molesters. Now, I could talk about this for 3 hours. The guy has never tried this. Now, let's be clear about this. The guy says, I can't go into court and say the courts are child abusers because I'll be held in contempt and I'll get in trouble. And I'm scared of ever even standing up to anybody because I've been a pussy my whole life or whatever. I don't know the guy, but the way he talks, he's saying that I'm right. And what I'm saying makes sense, but he doesn't want to say it. And I didn't say go in there and call them a bunch of child molesting, child abusing, whatever. I said it is child abuse. But you can always project. See, if you listen to my videos and stop clinging to the pussy ass bitch that you want to be. That, Joe Rogan talks about his inner bitch. He always tells his inner bitch to shut up. I'm going to get up. I'm going to work out. I'm going to get up and do my job. I'm going to get up and do this. You want to cling to that bitch that you're in love with. Your inner bitch, you're just so in love with it. You want to hug it and pet it and squeeze it and hold it tightly. So this guy is saying, I can't do that because there's going to be a horrible negative result because he's brainwashed to think don't commit blasphemy against the court. But it's almost like he's making up an excuse. I didn't say go in there like a bull in a china shop and start raising hell. I said, but if you ever listen to any more of my videos and you actually care for answers instead of whining, crying, pissing, and moaning all the time, and just watch my videos to feel good and never do anything about it because you want to just sit there idle like a stationary cowardly bitch. If you actually look at my videos, I'll say, go in there and say, look, Your Honor, the law says this, and you're bound by the law. This guy's scared to say that because even though, McDonald's, somebody making your fries at McDonald's, their policy is to make them hot and fresh. If somebody gave you cold fries, you could ask for more. And if the kid at the counter pisses you off or does something crazy, then you could get their manager because you could hold their manager accountable. You could tell the judge, you have to do this under law. Here's what case law says. Here's what the higher court said. The science says that children suffer. Every pastor, every preacher, every politician, every civic leader, every psychologist saying, Dad, step up to the plate, be involved in your kid's life. The only person in the world who does, the law says it, that we want both parents to be involved, the science, the data, all these other people saying it. The only person in the world that doesn't want this child to have a father is this lady over here. She's committing a form of child abuse. You don't even have to project it toward the courts. But if you're a pussy little bitch like this guy, you'll think, oh my God, James is saying, stand up for myself and use the law. That's so scary. If I say that, they'll give me the death penalty. And you make up this paranoia in your head. And then you're sitting here arguing with me. I won in court. Thousands of my clients have won. What the hell are you doing on my page arguing and whining and crying? This is the insanity of my freaking gender. We're a bunch of punk little sissies, and we look to argue to defend our sissiness. I mean, it's like a house slave, like Stefan in Django. He's defending the slave master, and the slave master's the bad guy because he's all comfortable in his comfort zone. Grow some balls, you guys. check out